Thank you, Mr. Ngapai. Mr. Mothati, we can commence.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to everyone. I hope my voice is clear. Everyone can hear me. Let me take this opportunity to greet everyone in our wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Mr. Mkhize and Mr. Kai, you can help me if my voice does not get through to everybody.
You are audible, so you can continue.
Okay, all right. It is indeed a great honor for all of us to be part of this great session, which started 2 weeks ago, dealing with the 4 Alls of John Wesley. And personally, I'm very honored, and I want to thank God the Almighty, the one who sits on the throne, for allowing me and all of us to participate in this very informative session that it really deals with our own belief as Methodist people. Without wasting time, because of we do not have the liberty of time, saints, ministers, and everybody, the prophet, our distinguished guest, Professor Reddie, Professor Mosala, and Dr. Lerato Kobe. I want to take this opportunity and this moment without wasting much of the time to ask our Reverend Peter Musia to lead us in prayer before we start.
Thank you. Friends, let us pray. Heavenly Father, gracious and ever faithful God, we come before you today with hearts of gratitude for this sacred gathering. We thank you, Lord, for the gift of Aldersgate, a reminder that your grace reaches us personally, warming our hearts and assuring us of our saving love. As we begin the seminar, we invite your holy presence to dwell richly amongst us. Lord, we thank you for each person gathered here tonight, each and every participant, every listener, every seeker or speaker. Unite us in one purpose and open our hearts and minds to receive your true word that comes from you. We lift up your esteemed guests, our esteemed guests, Professor Antony Reddie, Dr. Lerato Kobe, and Professor Itumeleng Mosala. We thank you for their wisdom, their scholarship, and their commitment to truth and justice. As we begin the seminar, dear Lord, grant them clarity of thought, boldness in expression, and humility of spirit as they share their insights. May their words be guided by your spirit and speak powerfully into our lives and contexts. As we proceed, dear Lord, may everything said here and done bring glory to your name. Let your spirit guide us so that in whatever challenges that we come across in our lives, we find this seminar as uplifting. We offer this prayer in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen.
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 Thank you very much, Superintendent Reverend Musia. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, brethren, saints, it is indeed an honor for me as one of the people who have been asked as a moderator to facilitate tonight's engagement with our distinguished guest professors and Dr. Lerato Kobe. I have been reliably informed, as I heard my brother said in the beginning, that we need to start with Dr. Lerato Kobe because she has some engagement later in the next 30 minutes or an hour or so. So without wasting much time, we are dealing today with the second of the 4 Alls, as all of us may know, that we have started this session 2 weeks ago. And last week we were dealing with the first all, which is all need to be saved. And today we are dealing with the second of the 4 alls, which says all can be saved. And our topic today is universal redemption, a hermeneutical approach to the salvation of all, which should be grounded in Black Liberation Theology and the Aldersgate experience. Fortunately, we have Black Liberation theologians amongst us, but to start to this session, we need to call upon Dr. Lerato Kobe to lead, to be the first one to start to unpack this very heavy theme that we have today. Dr. Lerato Kobe is currently at the University of South Africa full-time as a senior lecturer for the last 7 or 8 years. He is an assistant research at the Office of the Advisor of the Vice Chancellor, a graduate research assistant also. According to her profile that I saw later this morning, he is an emerging Black theologian scholar, according to her profile. Now, I call upon Dr. Lerato Kobe to lead us now. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction. I'm not sure if how much time do I have in deliberation, whatever I had. Yes, can you help me with that? Hello?
Good evening, Doc. You have around 30 minutes to present, and then from there we'll take questions from your presentation.
30 minutes, oh my God. Okay, I think first I must say it's scary that I am starting because of the panel, as I think Kai just said now, Professor Itumeleng Mosala, who is our grandfather for others, but I think to me, he will be like a brother, because I think if my brother was still alive, will be his age at this point, because I'm an old age child. And then Professor Antony Reddie from Oxford University, who is an A-rated professor, so of Black theology. So it's actually tough for me to start, but I have to, because of work as the university. We currently signed an MOU with CWM, so we have a meeting with one of the professors at Kempton Park. I still have to drive there now after this talk. He only confirmed today because he was flying what time he'll arrive. So I just want to apologize for that, because I would have loved to be here for the whole period. But then duty calls. Well, I think I'm going to start by saying, I think maybe in that 30 minutes, I'll try to use 15 to 20 minutes so that we have a bit of time to engage. I grew up in the Methodist Church, and I grew up being a member of the Wesley Guild, and I then went on to join the LPA, so being a lay preacher in the Methodist Church. And my theology, I did study at John Wesley, and the alls that he speaks about. As you said last week, the conversation was on all need to be saved, and all can be saved, justification by grace. today. And the question of universal salvation. It's quite a tough topic. It's quite a tough topic. Of course, if we talk, I'm not going to say much about John Wesley, but I'm just going to try to, as the younger person in this panel, to contextualize this topic today. Something that I can say maybe that will help my talk, of course, is that, of course, the hermeneutics of John Wesley were influenced by the fact that he was an Anglican. He came from the Anglican Church and he was an Anglican priest. So there's no denying of that, of course, as I was going through his own theology and background. So I think what makes him special for us, now we have all these kind of, we have Pentecostalism, charismatic churches and all these modern churches, but I think some theologians have claimed that the focus on salvation is something that John Wesley has advanced in his own life. And others have argued, of course, influenced by the background within the American context of Black Americans, and then coming back, and also if you read the scholarship of people like Diosoga, when he went to the UK and then experienced the working class within the UK, Diosoga writes about how unimpressed with this kind of industrialization. And also he tried to reconcile that with the missionary discourse in Africa and in South Africa at that time. So it was a bit hard for him. That's what he says in his writing, to understand that. And then now to speak about then the whole issue of universal salvation, how might have John Wesley himself understood that in the context of slavery and in the context of what was happening in the UK at that time, people working in the mines in unimaginable conditions, and all those that injustices were there within the community. Of course, John Wesley, we always trace him that he was, though people don't really, some John Wesley theologians don't want to account this to him that, yes, he was there, but to really say he was part of this abolitionist movement, it can be debatable. But I think we claim that as the Methodist Church, because really his theology spoke to the poor within the UK at that time, and especially because of his whole issue of universal salvation, and you will understand the historical context at that time. That there were those. I mean, it's quite similar to what we have currently in South Africa at this point, and now also trying to contextualize, because the poor of the poorest were regarded as it is their fault why they are in that condition. That is why they are poor. They cannot be helped, and all the whole John Calvin on predestination and selection and all of this, and so John Wesley then comes with this theology that actually speaks to the people, speaks to the masses, which is, I think, it's a kind of something that is always argued by theologians as something that Methodists hold on, especially in South Africa. And some have made the argument that actually this is why the Methodist Church became very successful within South Africa, because of the time in which it entered the country, the time of the frontier wars, the land conquest wars, in places like the Eastern Cape, KZN, and all over the country. So when Methodism is introduced in South Africa, people sort of like want a theology that can speak to their own struggles, and therefore the Methodist Church becomes this kind of beacon of hope, which is I dispute in my own work, because I argue that actually the Methodist Church were good soldiers of the empire. They were good foot soldiers of the empire. They were the people that Steve Biko speaks about, that they will kick you and then come back and tell you how to react into that kick. I was taught by, again, Prof. After church history, even the way he did that historical analysis of how the Methodist Church was even planted within Southern Africa. He would say to us, the Methodist Church will come and the missionaries and will establish the church, and then the empire will sweep in, and then the people will be divided into two. And of course, with the Anglican Church in South Africa being the actual colonizing church, which is mostly elitist, and that really represented the empire. So I always dispute this, that the Methodist Church kind of didn't represent the empire. It did, but it had the language because of John Wesley's theology of universal salvation, to speak to Black people in a way that made them have a sense that this church is on their side. But this Methodist Church was on a colonial conquest theology. So then to look at that historical context of the Methodist Church within South Africa, and where we find ourselves. As a Black theologian, it is hard for me to say, especially as a young person, this all can be saved. Well, all can be saved, but the question is that even when we take this to Jesus in the cross, it was never something that is very easy, that all can be saved. If all can be saved in that moment, when he was here as a human being, and then what was the need of the cross? So it's these things are hard to talk about in a short space of time that we have now. But Jesus was a human being that came into a context of empire, a context of oppression, like the way the Methodist Church came to us in South Africa. Came to us in a time of conquest in the Eastern Cape, having something that we rarely talk about, that actually, the closer kingdoms in the Eastern Cape, they waged war against the British Empire for 114 years. Unimaginable war for 100 and something years. And this is the context that the Methodist Church comes in. And now you look at that with the context that Jesus comes into within that society he lived in the Middle East at that time. Then it's not such an easy theology to pronounce, because at some point you realize, even the people, why some people couldn't believe that Jesus was the Son of God, because they were expecting this political Messiah. This soldier will fight for them against the injustices, because that's what they needed. Someone will liberate them from the Roman Empire. And so I think this is why therefore I say it's a very difficult topic to talk, to just speak about it very easy like that. Having experienced slavery and all of these things we've experienced as Black people in South Africa. So, but we can maybe say, okay, maybe other people can argue, other theologians and other scholars can argue, this whole theology of John Wesley has the underpinnings of a liberation theology. And some will say this is why the Methodist Church in South Africa was always aligned with the struggle for liberation. It's quite a difficult topic to speak about, and also the issue of universal grace, and because what are the limitations of this universal grace and this and all of these things within communities that are suffering, communities that are faced with inequalities, communities that are embroiled in injustices? So I don't know how to articulate this in a short period of time. So all can be saved. A theology of equal wealth, yes, of course, every person is equally valued before God. I mean, that is one of the things that our own theologian and Archbishop Desmond Tutu speaks about in the struggle against apartheid, that Black people are fighting at that time because also they are created in the image of God. And so therefore he even say it was a God's a struggle. It was God's struggle against apartheid. So everyone is worthy. But the question is that, are we really worthy? Is that what people are really experiencing on the ground? And is this the community, the context in which we preach as preachers, and is this the same context in where we do our theology? And I will say that it's hard to also speak so freely about this. Because, I mean, currently in South Africa right now, we have the poor in the townships who we have labeled as xenophobia, and we give them all the names that we can give to them. But these people are fighting for equal wealth. That was promised in the struggle against apartheid. That was promised to them by their leaders, and which also something that they themselves, their families and their ancestors died for, that in the post-apartheid South Africa, everyone would be equal in the law. And they will receive the right to life like everyone else in South Africa. But we've seen this, that actually now South Africans have not experienced this kind of salvation. They have not experienced this given universal salvation. And when they express how they have not experienced this, instead of seeing that, we see this savage in which they do the things that they do. What we get bombarded with is how savage actually Black South Africans are. And I mean, if you go anywhere in the world right now, this is the case. This is how people think about Black South Africans, that they are savages that cannot share what they have in their countries with others, that are anti everyone in the world. So they are actually the black sheep of the continent. So, and then how then do we reconcile their struggles that they fought for against apartheid and the current modern struggles that we are dealing with? Of course, for people like the Methodists, like the John Wesley and others, when they came to South Africa, for example, the colonizers came to South Africa, we can argue they experienced some kind of, because whatever they were doing in Africa, they were bringing it back to their own communities within Europe, which then made them the powerful countries that they are today. To such an extent, today they still have a grip in the whole continent. Also, when this message by John Wesley was being preached, was preached in a context that maybe was not rife with the youth killing themselves through drugs. Well, and yes, there was slavery, but slavery was something that was outside of them, because against slavery was something that was happening in Africa, and was something that was taking place in America and the Caribbean. So then the question is this worth, have Black people in the entire world ever experienced this worth, that this equal worth that is implied in this theology of John Wesley? I don't think so. In fact, what I can argue that we have experienced is the dehumanization of the Black community in the world. And which begs the question, if your Professor Itumeleng Mosala were arguing in the struggle against apartheid that Black people were forced into a position of non-being, now as Black theologians, we must ask then, how do non-beings treat each other? Maybe therefore we will find the answer within these things that are happening with March and March, Operation Dudula, spaza shops selling rotten food to people, and people just being killed. Like it's just nothing for someone to die in South Africa. So maybe as Black theologians, we then didn't proceed from what they gave us, that we have been pushed in the position of non-being. The question that the new generation has, then how do people who are non-beings treat each other? Because I don't think we've dealt with this question, this question thoroughly, because we then proceeded to the New South Africa, where Desmond Tutu again pronounced this theology that in the midst of all that, people experience this experience that they didn't express this salvation, this kind of grace, then they are then bombarded that actually we are very graceful people. We are a very Ubuntu-centered society. So even when you did something to me wrong, I don't really want to focus on justice at this moment. I want to focus on forgiveness and reconciliation. which doesn't really make sense. When I went to do my theology in Amsterdam, I was doing it on Desmond Tutu, and theologians were always asking me, oh, South Africans, they are such good people, you know, this Ubuntu, this forgiveness, you know, here in Europe, there's no such thing. If you do something to me, a person wants revenge, wants justice, wants retribution. And I always answer, there's no such a person where you can abuse and kick and do everything, and then their answer to you is, I forgive you. And they then want nothing at all, no change. Because even Jesus himself, when he is in the cross there on the cross, the first word he says, when he is the one who's being victimized, who's feeling the pain, he outsources forgiveness to God. Because he's feeling the injustice. He then says, like literally asking from God, but all his ministry, he was always telling people, I forgive you, you are forgiven. Was always declaring, but now when he's the one who's feeling the injustices, he outsources forgiveness. So I don't know how do we speak about this within the modern context of contemporary South Africa faced with these struggles of injustices. How do we even reconcile John Wesley's theology being a Methodist with the context in which our people live in? It's a very difficult theology to expand on in a context where people are preached to that. Actually, last year I did an interview on Newsroom Africa where they asked me about the rapture and why people do believe in the rapture, like they want the rapture to happen. I said, then it's easy for people to believe the rapture because people are suffering. So anything that can make them escape the current context of suffering in this country, they will sell everything and believe the priest when he says that the rapture is coming, because there's no one who wants to live in this kind of society that we live in, where we don't experience this universal salvation that is being talked about in John Wesley's theology. So, and I mean, I received lots of criticism for that, that I said that, but it is the context in which people live in the context in which all people have to wake up at 3 a.m. and go to clinic so that they can at least leave at 12 o'clock. And I am working at UNISA and I have my own medical aid. I can wake up at any time, go to the doctor. And then when I am at this camp fetching my medicine and the line is too much, I call the manager and say, no, this line is not moving. Then I leave this camp. So then I don't know how do I then speak about this universal salvation when I am living within such a privileged background that the people in our communities are not experiencing. And sometimes I shy away to say it's privilege, because also for us where we are against all odds. It's against all odds. Always a paycheck away, and sometimes even the flats that people live in are still in a kind of way those closed-in houses, because your child cannot make noise. They will be reported into the children cannot play outside because it's unsafe. So your kids are always in the house, are not experiencing any kind of life. You go to the airport, the South African airports are not the same like other airports in the world. you can't even accompany your loved one to check in because no crime is rife in the airport. So it's a kind of community that I ask myself, really, is this what Steve Biko they died for? And this is what is this salvation? Is this universal salvation that we're speaking about today really, really universal? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Am I audible? Kabazela. Kai.
We can hear you, Chair.
Okay. Is Dr. Moephuli there?
I'm there, sir.
Okay. Is Dr. Moephuli on the line? Dr. Moephuli, one of the moderators.
I'm there, sir.
Okay. Dr. Moephuli, can you
Yes.
conduct the issue of questions? Do we have questions? Because I can't see anything from my side here. Kai, can you help us with that?
Yeah, just let me say thank you to Dr. Kobisi. I think he touched on the absence of an egalitarian society in South Africa. We are not an egalitarian society, even though there is this question of all can be saved. So if we are far from that egalitarian society, Doctor, does the Bible say anything about all can be saved? Dr. Kobesi?
Thank you so much for that question. Yes, it's it's Dr. Kobe.
Kobe.
Yes,
my apologies, Dr. Kobe. Yes.
Yes. I think that maybe when we look at Paul, there is that kind of inclination that all can be saved. As then even the first part that I think that was discussed here about original sin, it's something that it comes from Paul himself, that we all fall short of grace, therefore we need I will use the word super being to save us, which is for me, this is the problem I have with Christianity, because then that question of all can be saved, I think if you look at it from an African culture point of view through Ubuntu, you will realize that we do believe that all can be saved. And so that is why our communities are actually based on a communal approach into life.
Correct.
But then Christianity, I don't see it there, because from the very beginning, the problem of your sin of suffering is original sin that we cannot really account for.
Yes.
So I think I'll answer like that.
Yes, that's correct. So what you're saying comes out of 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 4, that God intends that all human beings shall be saved. But you say it is not aligned to African belief systems, as you say, and the absence of the egalitarian society is divorced from that thesis by John Wesley. That's what you say.
No, I'm saying that within the African context, the African culture and spirituality, all can be saved.
Yes.
Because of their communal approach into life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm saying there's a distinction here from what Wesley was saying to African belief system. African belief systems believe that all can be saved. Are there questions from the floor there? I see we have a number of about 56 people.
There is a question, Doctor, that was posted in the comments, but I think before I raise the question, I would like to acknowledge our Dr. Thabo Mokgoba, the Archbishop of the Anglican Church, who is amongst us. I understand that our father is currently on leave, but he made time to join this discussion. Thank you, Mfundisi, for joining us. We really appreciate your presence. There is a question that came. It says, I agree, Doc. Perhaps the challenge is not the theology of grace itself, but the failure to fully live out the radical implications of a gospel that says all are equal before God. So I'm not sure whether it's a question or a comment. I think we can just ask Dr. Kobe to just give us a view on that. That will be the first one. And then I will have one question from my side. It's actually two questions that will be interlinked. I wanted to ask from our good doctor, how do we reconcile with the salvation for all in what she spoke about in terms of reconciliation, understanding the work that she did in her dissertation on Utatututu in reference to the Xhosas whom have not received the skull of King Hintsa. And there is a view that there was an implication of some of the churches in his skull being taken to England. That is number one. Number two, I was reading one of the book by Elias Ntlobedi. It's a biography. Here is a 3 by on Robert Sobukwe. There is a view that Robert Sobukwe's scholarship, whilst he was at the University of Fort Hare, was taken away by the church. And also, after he had completed his studies, it was difficult for him to find a teaching post in the missionary schools. Now, I want to link that with the fact that probably even our father, Dr. Thabo Mokgoba, would help us in this. How then do we reconcile with the affluent schools that we have in our communities in terms of the universality of the salvation? On how do we get, what are the measures that we can do to ensure that the poorest of the poor get to have the better education? And lastly, you spoke about the issue of the medical aid and the issue of the public health. And currently, we have a case of NHI that is taken to the Constitutional Court, where we've got the Western Cape government and the Board of Healthcare Funders who are fighting some aspects of it. But we feel that some people feel that the government wants to ensure that everyone can have the better access of health. I'll classify that an access to health will be equivalent to an access to salvation, because if you are healthy, that means that you are saved. Thank you.
Dr. Kobe.
Thank you so much. I'm hoping that I will remember all these questions, but
yeah, it's quite a long question. Yes.
Yes, you'll forgive me if I don't. Well, I think I'm going to start with the very the comment on that ask the implication of a gospel that says all are equal before God. So the failure to fully live out the radical implications. Well, it is quite a difficult one because I think as Christians, we must admit into the spirituality that we are following. We are following a spirituality based on a people and a particular people that have been elevated into the children of God. So I don't think that is already there. The footing is just not the same already. Because we then come as the Gentiles. But God has his specific people. Because how do I then engage this question with a Palestinian Christian who has lived out and tries to do so, this theology of grace within their community? It's a difficult one for me to engage, and precisely because in the way in which our Christian theology is foregrounded. I think Prof. Mosala will know this. The new generation has actually very critiqued the Exodus encounter. The liberation theologians begin with the Exodus stories. We have Black theologians today who are theologizing on the other side and then arguing that in systematic theology, we were taught that God is all-powerful, God is omnipresent, God is omnipotent, God is, they are about 4, I think. And then the new generation is like, little did we know this systematic theology that we were taught, it was actually what whiteness is. That we are able to gather now as majority of Black people, but we are speaking using a white language to communicate with each other. So then they argue, the new generation, this. Even Mitri Raheb from Palestine has referred to this, that these things that we were taught in theology, it is now that we begin to see that actually this is a representation of whiteness in the world. So it becomes difficult again to engage. And I'm not trying to problematize this and make these things difficult, but I think our spirituality, the Christian spirituality, its underpinnings are very hard to defend, in the sense that there is the people called the children of God. Of course, today you will have people bombing people because they are the special ones. They are special children of God. And then it begs the question, what are we then? Who created us? So there are those questions from the new generations and I think that's why you don't see this generation in the church. These are the questions that we deal with in the university as theologians. We have to respond to students. Students will tell you that my father is a priest. My father is a priest, but when he gets home, he rapes me and wakes up and go to church and preach, and people at church really love him. So I don't know, how do I say then that child was not able to live out this, and then to move on from that. I mean, there's a lot, I think, around can be said within the King Hitsa, and like I said, that for me, at least Prof. Chapter, that's how he taught us that the way the Methodist Church was planted in South Africa. So I will not be shocked that they were involved, because they were involved in the whole issue of land conquest. I am the great-grandchild of Untsikane. We are coming from Port Alfred. Our land is in the Anglican Church. our ancestors were possessed, but within the New South Africa, when we talk about justice, we want to talk and say, oh, in order to give back this land, we can help the community and do these charity works within that land. But what about giving that land back to its people? So also the question of our ancestors in Europe, it's always surrounded with well, they don't have the resources into how to house these. I don't know why would you need to house a skull of you bury your ancestors and you want to give them dignity that they deserve. And not monument them and do all this indignity that they are still living under within Europe. And in fact, also to comment to the issue of King Inza, it's not just the skulls and the bones of our ancestors that are in Europe. I recently wrote a paper on Diosoga with Edinburgh-based scholar. And they told me when I was writing about my family there, about Tsikane, Kobe, and Dukwana, they said, no, Dukwana and Kobe have nothing to do with Diosoga. And they said I must not include that there. And I refused, and I said I'm going to include. Then the other day, apparently she went to the library, and when she got to the library, he saw the private collection of my family being in a special collection that cannot be just accessed by anyone. And it was documented how much Black missionaries were paid in the 1800s, 1700s by these churches. All these things that were, the discussion that they were having, people like Oma Kapela at that time, all these things are there. We don't have access to them. We think that we are dealing with new struggles, but our ancestors have dealt with these struggles, and then all that information has been taken to us and hidden. So that again, we are blinded. So I think I'm not sure if I answered all those questions, but the issue, and I laughed when that guy was arguing that lawyer that is taking that case, because there's this argument in South Africa when the elite and the middle class, and I'll say both the Black and white middle class, they like making to speak on behalf of the poor. And so he's saying, no, the people, when this thing was not socialized to the masses have the right that the issue of NHI must be socialized to them, they must be consulted enough. But when Desmond Tutu and Nelson Mandela were making decisions on behalf of the Black people, the same people never said anything. So NHI is continuing. Those guys, those lawyers, the Cape Town, the Cape Town people who are I don't know whether it's government or what, and those lawyers that are fighting that NHI thing, taking it back to court, they've learned it from our own stalwarts of the struggle. The people that we praise today have made so many decisions on behalf of the poor. So it's easy for AfriForum to say, no, actually we need Starlink because it's gonna benefit the poor in the villages of the Eastern Cape. You don't care about the poor. The poor are the people that are always put forward when the middle class, both Black and white, the elites, the politicians want to make decision and business in this country, but the poor always get nothing. Thank you.
Dr. Moephuli.
Thank you, Moruti.
Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti. Thank you, Moruti
And greetings to everyone. I just want to so I've been listening to Dr. Kobe, and there's just things I'm sort of struggling with in my mind. Now, she spoke of an issue of medical aid and other many things. Now, I was just reminded, it just took me back to the one of the scriptures that were on the lectionary, the previous, not this week, the other one on Acts, when it spoke of the early church, how there was fellowship, and then there was so it describes how there was fellowship, people stayed together, and they shared things, and 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 the question that I want to ask is, as Black people, and I understand that a lot of our issues stem from apartheid. However, are we at this present moment doing enough to come together to do the same, as in because there seems to be a situation where if I find success, the success is mine and those that are around me. And so it then becomes a challenge where the gap then keeps increasing between those who have and those who don't. But are we the question that I'm asking is, are we doing enough to try and come together and see how can we better contribute, and how do we then impart that practice to try and bring people into the fold of saying we should be together, because the separation keeps growing, and we separate every day. We separate more because those who have then move to one side, those who don't move to one side, and consistently we then point to say, someone should be doing that, someone else should be doing that. Sure. But we're not really pointing at ourselves. So the question is, how do we bring that back? I think there was a question also on the chat that spoke to Ubuntu, and it's also part of that, to say, how do we address it in such a way that all can be saved, can be something that we push? Because I believe if as a collective, if we can then push that, there'll be I mean, the issue of AfriForum is a collective of people who've come together and say we want to do something from the African community. But there doesn't seem to be a lot from our side. We somehow always point into AfriForum. You'll hear people saying, Africans build their own university. But are we putting in enough effort as people who call ourselves Christians? Because one thing that Jesus Christ mentioned was that when he said, those who give, if you give to someone who doesn't have food, you are giving to me. If you give clothes to someone who's not clothed, you are giving to me. But are we doing enough as a people to come to a point? Yes, we cannot erase the effects of apartheid in 30 years. There's been a lot that's happened. There's been a lot that's been taken from us. But I think the only way we can probably take it back is if we, as a collective, make a concerted effort. Are we doing that? Are we doing enough? Thank you.
Thank
To
you.
quickly answer.
Are you going to answer that, Doctor?
Yes, just quickly before then I can leave.
Yes.
I think apartheid is not enough for us to start with, because our problems, for me, apartheid is an inevitable thing that happens when you have experienced the conquest, the British conquest. The grounding of apartheid was done by the British Empire. So if we read our struggles beginning from apartheid, we are reading them wrong, because our problems begin with land conquest, where our people are pushed out of their country and our land belongs to the British Empire. So then the apartheid inevitable comes in when you have done that. But I would agree with you. I think for me now, I was saying in a conference last year, Azanian Philosophy Conference, that you know, I'm tired of hearing about Bigo, about Fanon, about whatever, because now we've created these doctrines for Black people that we were fighting against, that, but how do you then read Bigo if you're speaking like this? In fact, now with what is happening in the townships, with everything, what you pick up from the Black middle class and the Black government is that the poor must have a grammar for their suffering. They must find a grammar. If you don't have a grammar, we are not going to listen to you. We are going to call you all sorts of names that are out there in the world. So I do agree with you that I am really tired of I know our problems where they stem, but we cannot anymore make excuses for the ANC government. We not make excuses anymore for our politicians. We cannot make excuses anymore for the church. For the church to not take itself to speak about salvation using Africans' concepts of salvation. I was once asked here in Pretoria by the Methodist Church to do something on salvation, and I did it on Ubuntu. And I remember one of the participants said to me, no, but Dr. Kobe, the Bible says that, quoting Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you. You know, so salvation is mine alone individually, as an individual. So you can't say that we must look for salvation that is communal, that is focused on the community. Then I asked that congregant, can you tell me if heaven will be heaven if you are in heaven and all your children are in hell? And she just looked at me. She couldn't answer. Because we talk about these things without trying to imagine what they really mean. That if you are saying salvation is only, Jesus is speaking only about you, the Bible speaks up only about you, then I will have to be hypnotized to enjoy heaven when all my family is in hell. You will have to give me tablets every day to make peace with that heaven, because I don't know how I will make peace with the heaven that everyone that I love is in hell. So I don't know how we are not able to think about these things that we believe in real society, and what do they mean within the communities and that we live in as people. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kobe. Don't you mind to take the last question?
Dr. Moephuli?
Yes, I see Masape Tatani wants to ask a question.
Dr. Moephuli.
Hello, sir.
I think we are running out of time. Maybe we should release Dr. Kobe.
I wanted to do that. I wanted a comment. She commented on this concept of the almsgiving in Acts 4, where there was sharing of things in that community. The Greeks and the Jews were sharing. And now I see that there is a question. Would she mind taking the last question from?
I do understand that, sir. I
Okay,
do understand that, but I'm just starting to see that we are really running out of time, and I
Thank you,
think
sir.
we should now allow Dr. Kobe we should thank
To
her
leave.
for her
Thank you very much.
contribution, the greatest
Thank you.
contribution so far, and
Yeah.
then allow the second speaker to come on the floor. Maybe we can continue the questions later because we don't have the liberty of time at all.
Absolutely.
So may
We are
I
left with an hour.
humbly request that we thank Dr. Kobe for the contribution and possibly release her from this engagement, as we were told that she has some other engagements also.
Yes, thank you.
Dr. Kobe.
Dr. Kobe, she left.
No, I am here, but I was just trying to unmute myself. Yes, please, I would love that I could be let go now. My boss is already calling me.
Thank you very much,
Dr. Kobe.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
May we now take this opportunity, Dr. Moephuli, to go to the second guest, which is our own minister in the Methodist Church, Professor Itumeleng Mosala, to quickly check on his profile, because I've been sent his profile. Can I quickly read it, and then so that we can give an opportunity to come in?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, the profile that I was given is that Professor Itumeleng Mosala commenced his professional life as a teacher after completing his teacher's training in 1970. He holds a master's degree from the University of Manchester, UK, a master's in business administration from the Open University Business School in UK, United Kingdom, and a PhD from the University of Cape Town, UCT. He attained an Associate of the Federal Theological Seminar, AFTS, degree from the Federal Theological Seminar of Southern Africa in 1976. So Professor Mosala also successfully completed major modules in econometrics, international economics, and economic policy for a BCom degree. He abandoned for lack of time. He obtained several professional development certificates for courses he passed from a variety of universities in academic areas such as big data, mathematical modeling, business analytics, the data explosion, quantitative and qualitative research methods, understanding nuclear power, health data analytics, computer language R for data science and social media analytics, among others. His full career as an academic spanned the years 1980 to 2003 at the following institutions: University of Botswana, 1980 to 1982, University of Cape Town, 1983 to 1995, and Technical Northwest, 1998 to 2003, April. This period was interspersed by a period as lecturer at Wesley College and Divinity Faculty, University of Cambridge in Cambridge, UK, 1991-1993. His career in the public service started as a chief director for higher education in the National Department of Education during the presidency of Nelson Mandela, 1995 September to 1998. After a stint as vice chancellor and principal at the Technical Northwest, 1998 to 2003 April, he returned to the public service as the Director General, National Department of Arts and Culture. Professor Mosala then joined the private sector in the nuclear industry as regional vice president of the Westinghouse Electric Company, a global nuclear energy company, from May 2010 to January 2016. He continued to serve in the board of Westinghouse South Africa until 2019. He founded a number of successful enterprises, including financial services advisory company, Still Nassans Ventures. Professor is a published author, social commentator, editor, and renowned speaker. He has written numerous publications and books. He has sat on various national committees and boards. The President of the Republic Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa appointed Professor Itumeleng Mosala a commissioner of the Independent Commission for the Remuneration of Public Office Bearers on 15 November 2019. We now call upon Professor Itumeleng Mosala to take the platform.
Thank you, sir. Professor Mosala.
Professor Itumeleng Mosala.
I could not find the unmute button. Thank you very much, sir. You very kindly introduced me rather too long. But I'm delighted to be here tonight and to be part of the discussions here. I think that it might be a good idea rather not to try and give a long talk and rather pick on a few issues that okay, something else has come there. What is this thing that's talking about webcam? Okay. Can I take away my picture because something else just came on here and I don't know what it is. All right. I suggest that I continue a little bit from where the doctor ended.
Kobe.
And Dr. Kobe
Yes.
ended, and just try and say something about universal grace, universal redemption, and then say something also about what I think the context of John Wesley was at the time, and defend him a little bit. I'm not a great fan of John Wesley, but try to defend him a little bit, just from the point of view of context. We are all products of our contexts, and our theologies are also contextual in that sense. And there are things that can be critiqued, but there are things that, even though we critique them from what people say, we can't do more than just really speak to both about them and them, but also to be speaking to their context. So we can choose to paint John Wesley as a relevant Black theological activist, but that would not help us and would not get us anywhere. He was British. He was an Anglican priest. He was a great scholar. He was a product of Oxford University. But he did also see what was happening in the UK at the time. And I would say in the century in which he lived, he did respond with the best intentions, I think, and with the help of the tools that in that time he could use and he could develop. And I would like to park him. I'd rather be talking about Stanley Mohowa, Kubule, Tutu, and a great number of people, Tio Soga, that Dr. Kobe spoke about. I did a paper at a conference of Tio Soga's church when they were celebrating, I think, 100 years, not so long ago, and went back to who he was and where he went and where he developed his theology and how he came back and ministered on the basis of the theology that he had developed. That paper is available. I cannot remember whether I did publish it or not, but it is available. I could share it if somebody can remind me. about it. Now, this issue of all can be saved is partly a product of the Aldersgate experience, where he himself talks about how on that particular evening his heart was strangely warmed and he experienced an assurance of his own salvation. But he doesn't end there. He says, salvation through faith alone. I would find that something more interesting than just the appropriation that we tend to do, particularly as Methodists, how we consume and appropriate whatever theological truth he was expressing when he said that. But for me, the interesting thing would be, what did he mean when he says, through faith alone? I suspect that the British context was behind what he was saying. He was living in a society where the working class in particular were not as appreciated as human beings, were not treated as well as human beings, were not afforded the same opportunities as other people were in his society. And that, for some reason, had an impact on whether they were as human as the rest of the British society. And so his view is that I don't need to be middle class. I don't need to be rich. I don't need to go to great schools around. Faith is enough for me. That's the hermeneutical twist that I detect in what he was saying. Whether that was good enough, I don't know. I think only he knows. Experience is difficult to defend outside of yourself. Your experience is your experience. And I think one of the things that is important for faith is the role of experience in faith. Now, it doesn't mean that you must be uncritical about your experience, because your experience is also a product of society. It's a product of experiences of other people. It's a product of who your mother is, who your father is, who are your friends, and so on. And we see it all the time, even in our own experiences today. So I would like to throw in that idea that we're dealing here with a spiritual experience. When a person says, it now doesn't matter to me any longer whether I am rich, whether I am middle class, whether I can afford that or can afford that. Through faith, I have an assurance that I am saved, and that grace is with me as well. And I think a lot of us who joined the ministry at the time, when we talk about the call to ministry, I think we can't put it too much beyond that. For me, it is something that that in a sense is between you and God. And you know that I'm a materialist in certain things, certain experience, certain contexts. Some of you will have read my work, and you know that I am as materialist as I am spiritualist. But when it comes to how I account for my faith, that for me is a matter between me and God, in spite of the fact that I don't know whether God really exists. And that's not a matter I want to defend. To explain to other people, I don't think anybody can help me with that. I think it is a matter of me and God. And when it comes to those kinds of things, I will do what I did. I will join the liberation struggle because I believed that the liberation struggle is part of what it means to be to be a Christian. The fight against justice is part of what it means to be a person of faith. I actually want to talk more about faith than about Christianity. I have issues with Christianity. I have very few issues, if any, with faith. And so that is the reason why also I'm a Black theologian, because Black theology is not a product of the church. We don't owe the church anything as Black theologians. It is a product of a particular struggle at a particular time, something that only our experience and only the context in which we were in could gift us with. We would not have fought. We would not have, in spite of our churches, if we had waited for the churches to allow us to do it, there would be no Black theology today. And we would not have participated and contributed in the struggle. We took decisions to give something of our lives because of what Black theology did for us, what Black consciousness did for us. We told the church, I mean, in the Methodist Church, we told the church that we are embarking on a program that is inspired by Black consciousness. And we are embarking on a program and project of exploring Black consciousness and developing tools of struggle for national liberation on Black theology, and we make no apologies to anybody. The church didn't have to accept what we were doing. The only people we were accountable to were our people inside the church and outside the church. We were not accountable to the church. We still are not. We develop our own theologies based on the gifts that God has given us, based on the privileges of being where we are and where we have been, who we have met. In my case, the things I have had to sit down and reflect upon in terms of teaching, in terms of research, and I don't owe that to institutions of society. I owe it to what is it that drives me as a person of faith. And I wait for that, and I listen to faith, what's talking to me, and that will keep me going. If faith were to throw me out of the church, I'll just walk out gladly. I'll move out gladly. I would not have any hesitation, because that's the thing that brought me into the church anyway. And Black theology is a weapon of struggle for me. And so whether me and everybody else are all saved and covered by the grace of God, for me, it's not a theological matter. It's a matter of faith. And the things that relate to faith are very difficult because they are not entirely under our control. I was telling people this morning at another platform where I was, I was talking about this whole issue of what the church did in order to help us with Black theology. And of course, the issue is the church did nothing. Well, no, that's not very true. The church did give us some of the context and some of the, not deliberately, not wanting to deliberately help us, but they did provide stuff for us that supported us. But I again repeat that Black theology does not owe its existence to the church. It's not an opinion. It's a weapon of struggle, and we're continuing to develop it. In my case, I'm a biblical scholar, and everything else for me starts with the Bible, and everything comes back to the Bible. And I continue to worry about how very little biblical readings matter to people of faith. I mean, I wish I had all the time to do a lot more in terms of interesting people in the Bible, not just the kind of stuff that we do with the Bible. We misread the Bible, we misapply the Bible, we misinterpret the Bible, we refuse to listen to it directly. We let others tell us what it says. And it says very many things, a lot of them contradictory among themselves. So I think I should keep quiet before I say too much about this subject. But Black theology drives me to the Bible, and the Bible drives me back to Black theology. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir.
May I humbly request? Am I audible? Kai Mujalifa.
Yes, we can hear you, Chair.
May I humbly request, because of time, dear people, that we will take questions later after we have given Professor Reddie an opportunity also to present his story. May I use those powers for now to ask Professor Reddie, a British theologian and academic, a Black theology specialist, a professor at the University of South Africa. May I ask him now to take the platform and to lead us, and all the questions that relates to what Professor Mosala has said already, and what will Professor Reddie say will come later. Professor Reddie.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm honored to be able to join you. I'm especially thrilled to be in the company of Professor Mosala. He is one of the three most important people in my life as a scholar and my development as a Black theologian. The other two are James Cone, and like Cone and Mosala and myself and Dr. Kobe, we were all Methodists, although I suspect that we are all what I might describe as dissident Methodists, meaning that we are Methodists, but we are somewhat maybe in critical dialogue, let us say, with the tradition that has nurtured us and formed us. So I was born in Britain. My parents were from the Caribbean, they're part of the British Empire. So they were both born on the Caribbean island of Jamaica that was controlled by the British for about 300 years. And they came to Britain as part of an attempt to bring in a immigrant working class community to replace the loss of men. So during World War II, Britain won the war, more accurately. So Russians and the Americans won the war against Nazi Germany and the Japanese. And post-World War II, with a massive labour shortage, they called for people from the Caribbean to come and to do the jobs that white working class people in Britain did not want to do. As I was born into the Methodist tradition, I was christened or baptized when I was 4 months old, and then confirmed when I was 14 years old. And I am still currently a Methodist local preacher, as we call them, a lay preacher. So I guess the first thing I should say is that that's one of the few occasions I find myself being invited to talk about Methodist doctrine, because I'm not a doctrinal theologian, I'm largely a practical theologian. And my starting point, as I would agree with Professor Mosala, is that all theology is contextual. All our work has to be put into its particular context. And therefore, from that context, that's where we then derive our understanding of theology and the various doctrinal positions that come out of that. that I would also agree with Dr. Kobe that I think all Christian doctrine is in many respects some reflection of whiteness, in that in the period in which it was created, it was not necessarily created by white people per se, but all the councils and all the best procedures that have followed subsequently in order to standardize doctrine is, I think, a reflection of whiteness. So the moment you try to create some universalizing construct for talking about God that moves away from the contextual nature in which human beings can only ever talk about God as creatures who have been created by whoever we understand the creator to be, we don't have transcendence. We are immanent beings within a particular time and place. And therefore, one of the things we have to do, which hopefully is what we're doing this evening, is to contextualize this understanding of the teaching that comes from Wesley. Because when Wesley was doing his work, and thanks again to Professor Mosala for reminding us that Wesley was a man of his time. He was an Englishman. He was a conservative. He was a high church Anglican, a Tory. He was he was Oxford educated at Christ Church College, and was a fellow, which basically means a senior member of a prestigious college, and that's Lincoln College. On a regular basis, as a professor in Oxford, I get Methodists from all over the world coming, and they usually seek me out, and then at some point I show them around Christ Church, which is physically the largest Oxford college, and there is a plaque on the floor to Charles and John Wesley within Christ Church College, where they were both undergraduates. And then also, depending upon how much time we have, we can then go to Lincoln College and see John Wesley's room, where he was a fellow until he left Oxford, then to go to first Bristol and then London. Yeah, so very quickly, therefore, in light of the time, I think we have to ask ourselves, I think, thinking in context, some very, very important questions. Firstly, we talk about the second alls, that all can be saved. And of course, this comes out of Wesley's Arminianism, where, as we said before, it's a case of salvation by grace through faith, so justification by faith. All can be saved, which therefore implies some sense of universal redemption. But for me, I think as a Black theologian, the question that I've always wanted to pose is, if we think about this formulation, all can be saved doesn't mean that all will be saved. And I think one of the things that I would want to perhaps be in critical solidarity with Wesley is that when Wesley talks about salvation and it's justification by faith, he also understands that there's an ongoing process of sanctification in which the claims of conversion and salvation have to be also understood in terms of holiness being social holiness. So there's no holiness that is not social, and therefore within that claims of one's salvation is implication for how we then live amongst others, and take seriously not only the salvation of the individual, but the salvation of societies, of structures and systems that are invariably unjust, certainly within a capitalist society. Our structures and systems are not neutral, they are unjust, they are biased against the poor. And therefore, my understanding of all can be saved is that even if we're talking about the formulation of it being by grace through faith, we still then have to factor in how then is one then living out the faith and living in community with others for the salvation of the whole of the whole of creation, not just of the individual. So all can be saved doesn't mean that all will be saved. And so I want to be clear that as a liberationist, I've never particularly held to the notion of a form of universal salvation that's going to save everybody, including the people who are indeed oppressing the poor and the marginalized, and And even if they convert to the faith and say they have faith in Jesus, then I want to ask is what is the praxis of that faith and what does it look like in scripture? It talks about, I think Paul says, by the fruits you will know them. So what is the fruit of people's conversion? Because what we know, certainly looking at colonialism and slavery, which are the backdrop for the bulk of African peoples across the world, that the people who oppressed us were not godless atheists. The people who oppressed us were often people who believed in the same faith as we did. The people who confessed Christ crucified as we did. And yet the faith that they had converted to, the faith that they had said that they had received by grace through faith, still did not stop them believing in apartheid, still did not stop them stealing land, still did not stop them oppressing Black people. And so what Cohn and many Black theologians have come to believe is a critique of this Arminianism of Wesley, which is not to say that all people can't be saved. I think I still believe people can be saved. But whether all people will be saved is entirely a different matter. Now, clearly, that's God's matter. I mean, God will decide who's going to be saved and not saved. But for me, I think when I think about the formulations around what salvation looks like, for me, and this is where I would agree with Dr. Kobe, although I probably use different language because although I'm of African descent, my parents are from the Caribbean. I've not been born on the continent. So the language of Ubuntu doesn't naturally spring from my lips, but I think a collectivism, a collective understanding what salvation means, I think is central to my understanding of faith, that my reading of scripture, and I would defer to Professor Mosala in this regard, because I'm not a biblical specialist like him, but I've always been led to believe that when we think about the scriptures, certainly we think about the Judeo-Christian tradition that Jesus represents, I think what we have received from the reformers, particularly Luther, has been a distortion that thinks in terms of salvation as an individual project rather than as a collective one. So I want to think of salvation as a collective enterprise. So what does it mean for a people to be saved? And for me, people of God is not just those who confess Christ crucified, because I said history has shown us that many oppressors still use those labels and those words as well. So for me, the people of God are, to quote one of the great Black theologians in South Africa, his name just escaped me, but the one who wrote Jesus and the Cross Bearers. His name just escaped me, but I think the people. Sorry?
Takatso Mofokeng.
Thank you, Moephuli. That I agree with Moephuli, that I think the cross bearers are not just the people who go to church, it's the people who are bearing witness to trying to live a life of faithful praxis in the midst of oppression and injustice. And so one of the challenges that I often have when I teach my classes as a Black Liberation theologian is that I do believe in a certain theology of election. That doesn't make me a Calvinist. I'm still Methodist. I still have an Arminian theological perspective. But what I mean by a theology of election is that God, I think the scripture shows that God has a identification with a particular group of people. Mistakenly, we often think that God chooses Israel because he has a particular love for a certain set of people based on their faith. I don't think God saves Israel because they're Jewish. I think he saves them because they're oppressed and marginalized, even though, of course, that is a difficult theological formulation, because we then have to then ask the question about the people who are not elect and what happens to them. And is it really the case that they are outside the orbit of God's love and the ability for them to be saved? So I'm not saying that its formulation is not without its problems, but I think the reason why I struggle with this tension between a kind of Arminianism on the one hand, but a sense of election, that the election for me is that God has chosen humanity, but has chosen humanity with a preferential option for those who are marginalized and oppressed. And therefore, the outworking of salvation can't be just simply around those who can adhere to a certain creedal formulation, i.e., so Jesus has died for my sins and I accept him as Lord and Savior. Because as I said, if we don't contextualize that, we will then see that many churches have been built on the blood of the oppressed by people who could say those formulations very, very clearly and tithe. And we know the church has always had a preferential option for the middle class, particularly when it comes to those people whose economic power allows them to endow the church with gifts that enables the church to grow and to prosper and to become wealthy and powerful. And therefore, they then become the people who the church wants to bless and support and endorse, and not the people who are the least of these, which is what scripture shows us in Matthew 25, 31 to 46. And so therefore, in conclusion, first I want to say that, as I said, I'm not a doctrinal theologian, so I can't honestly say that when I'm going about my work, the biggest thought I have is on who's going to be saved or not going to be saved. That's God's business, and God will save who God is going to save. And I suspect that some of us will be surprised as to who is in heaven, if indeed many of us actually get there. So that's God's business. Our business in the meantime is to live in solidarity with those who are the least of these, and to ask the critical question that any group of people who are being attacked and traduced and are told they are the problem, then a hermeneutical suspicion should be one that says, well, who is doing the attacking and who is on the receiving end of that kind of vitriolic scapegoating? Because what we see from Jesus on the cross is that he was perhaps like the divine scapegoat. And we know that in any society, there will always be people who the powerful and the majority want to blame. And our role in terms of liberationist praxis is to be on the side of all those who are being scapegoated. And so if we want to talk about salvation and all can be saved, well, in theory, yes, all can be saved, but I still believe that those who are oppressors and those who prey on the poor and are marginalized, and those who are on the underside of history, that God's judgment will fall much more heavily on them than it will on those people who are simply trying to make a way out of nowhere. I'll stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Antony Reddie. Are there questions for Professor Mosala? Other questions? We are only left with 14 minutes to close the session. Are there questions for Professor Mosala and Dr. Reddie? And Professor Reddie, my apologies. Any questions?
I just want to greet Professor Reddie. I didn't have an opportunity to do so. I rushed into my contribution area on.
Yes.
Thank you and welcome, Comrade Reddie.
Yes. Any questions?
There's one question, Chair, from
Yes.
the Archbishop.
Archbishop of Cape Town.
Yes, it's directed to Professor Mosala. And
Thank
the
you very
question
much.
is, what then is faith, Prof. Mosala?
Archbishop, good evening. I should be asking you What is faith? For me, it's a stance. It's taking a position. And that's why I kept saying, and I got myself a bit entangled.
Yes.
Entangled around that. I kept saying it's my business.
And my
business
God.
between me and my God.
Yeah.
And I don't want the church to interfere in that.
Okay. I get you. I've just read.
I appreciate that we are together in the church, and therefore even my faith is not independent of what I'm experiencing with all of the other fellow Christians. But the church has a structure, particularly some of our churches having been products of colonialism. You know, that worries me. But that stance is very important to me because I do actually want to die and fight for it.
Okay.
I can't be told to be or not to be. And faith comes in there.
I hear you. No, thank you so much for clarifying in the chat, because I was worried about me and my God. And
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's also a hand from Reverend Lauren Matthew, Chair.
Reverend Matthew, please ask your question.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I just want to thank, firstly, all three speakers for really engaging and challenging and kind of creating space for new ideas. And yeah, so I'm really grateful to this and to the Wesley Guild and yourselves for organizing this. It's really cool. So firstly, I think whenever I think of Wesley's understandings of all can be saved and stuff, I always think of it as a response to the ideas of original sin and the pervasiveness of sin, and in Wesley's views of the kind of effectiveness of grace. And I think when he was kind of writing the stuff, I think the debate was around free will, and the debate was about the efficacy of grace itself. I think when Wesley was kind of thinking about this and thinking about, the universality of grace, I don't think in his mind the kind of colonial or understandings of the colonial context were playing out, although he was benefiting from it. And I think when he was writing this, foremost in his mind was probably the class struggle that was kind of unfolding within Britain at that time. But I don't think he was necessarily thinking about Africa in the same way that we are thinking about Africa now. So for me, as an inheritor of this tradition, I'm left with kind of the question, what do I do with this now, right? What do I do with this as somebody who lives in South Africa, right? What do I do with this inheriting a tradition where, in Wesley's understanding of sin itself, I think when he wrote Original Sin, the doctrine of original sin, he was describing the Khoi and the San people as the epitome of what sin is, and has been consistently doing that throughout his work. So what do I do as somebody who receives this tradition? And I think that is the question, I think that Black theology gives us a rupture point to enter into that question. But I don't think it answers the question. Maybe decoloniality and understanding the fact that our theology itself serves whiteness in its full iterations, perhaps is another start point. But I think for me the journey is, or the question of our time is, what do we do with this information now? How do we receive this as the people on the underside of history? Yeah, and that's not a question for, I think, everybody to answer, but it's a question I think that we need to wrestle with. And I just thank you for the opportunity to even articulate that question in the first place. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Matthew. Professor Mosala, would you make some contribution?
Just briefly, I like that question very much, because that is actually the foundation. It forms the foundation of my own biblical hermeneutics position, because if that question wasn't what the conclusion was that I drew eventually, I would have quit the scriptures, because there are even more difficult issues of that kind in the scriptures themselves, in the Bible. I mean, there are all kinds of completely contradictory things in there. There are positions that we choose to ignore because we hide the problems that are coming out of those positions in the scriptures in other parts of the Bible. But I mean, the Bible is a bundle of contradictions, socially, politically, even, I mean, I don't know how to put it, but that's why I always say that the Bible is a product of struggles, and therefore the hermeneutic of struggle is a very important one for me. So as soon as I had decided upon that, I rested. I thought, to me, I read one part of the Bible, I understand the class origins of that part, for example, or the ideological origins of that particular part, and I can find 100 times better parts of the Bible that totally oppose that part as well. So I don't think anything that has come out of as big as a history as the history of the Bible itself should have expected that history to produce something that is kind of free of contradictions. It's come out of wars. It comes out of disentanglements. There are all kinds of things that influenced the origins and formation of the biblical tradition. Wesley is nothing compared to the Bible. Wesley is an angel.
Yeah. Is there any other comment? Is there any other comment?
Dr. Moephuli.
Sir?
We had a question here some few moments ago. I don't know whether to pose. I believe it's important to pose it now to
a
Professor
question
Reddie.
from yourself?
No, it was sent to me, basically. It's not from myself.
Yes, sir.
It says, I want to know, as local preachers, how do we reclaim Methodist theology from its historical proximity to colonialism while preserving its message of grace?
Yes,
maybe Professor Mosala and Professor Reddie can help us.
Yes.
Prof. Reddie should take a stab at that.
Sure, okay.
Sorry, I don't want to launch you, but...
Sure, yeah. Sorry, I got a bit of a cough. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the key things as African people we need to let go of is this lie about syncretism. It's this lie about somehow there is a purity of the Christian faith that has been deposited to us from the church fathers and mothers, and we need to maintain it and retain it and repulse any sense of it being mixed with or contaminated by other religious thoughts and ideas. Because firstly, it's a myth to say that there's ever been one true faith. There has always been different tributaries, and as Professor Mosala has said, because of the contradictions in the Bible itself, that means that we've always had different traditions. And even within Methodism itself, there have been different streams. And so even within Wesley's time, there were splits amongst the Methodists because not all of them could agree on particular doctrine or ecclesiology. And so all that to say that in order to reclaim the faith, what we have to do is to make it fit for purpose. And that means that we have to root it into the context and then find this tension. And it is a tension because it's never fully resolved between those things that we have received and been passed on, and we say they were true of their time, but there is still something of a fundamental truth within that now that is worth holding on to, but not exactly in the way in which we received it, but it needs to be contextualized. And then put that alongside what is also then part of our inheritance in terms of the different religious traditions that have always been part of what it is to be African. And so whether it's in terms of indigenous African traditions and beliefs that were demonized by the missionaries, and yet the truth is our peoples across the whole of the diaspora and the continent, that we knew God long before the missionaries turned up, and then told us about Jesus. And so it doesn't mean that we cannot be faithful to Jesus, but we can be faithful to Jesus and still be African at the same time, and African in a way, and to more accurately, to be Methodist in a way that perhaps Wesley could not have imagined, but he was a man of his time. So it means that these things will be ongoing. They probably won't be fixed. They probably won't be entirely settled. One of the things we know about the church councils and the way in which doctrine was often created was, it was often, if we're honest, it was often about human hubris. It was the attempt of usually powerful men to want to try settle particular theological arguments and to pin God down and put God into a metaphorical box, and then seal it hermeneutically, and then make it safe from any type of contamination from other ideas or other traditions or other perspectives. And actually, when the Europeans say that, what they really mean is like to keep it contaminated from anything that the natives might bring from their lived experience. And so I think that's what we do. By definition, it will be messy. And it won't always be conclusive. But I think if we hold then on to the golden rule, which is to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself, then whatever it is that we are if we then hold on to those two fundamental teachings about loving God and as an expression of that, loving your neighbor as yourself, and not being particular as to what kind of neighbor we like, but actually loving all human beings, then if we commit to that, then it means that whatever the contextualizing work we are doing, and however improvisatory it might be, we won't go far wrong from the very, very essence of the faith that has been shared to us by Jesus Christ himself. But obviously for many of us in this meeting here as Methodists, it's come through a Wesleyan lens.
No, thank you. Archbishop Makgoba, is Archbishop still there? Archbishop, there's a particular narrative about Oupa in the Southern Free State, and the Anglican Church has ownership of that sacred site. Apparently, Oupa came from Lesotho, and she was forced to be baptized to become a Christian, and their name was changed to Anna Oupa from Miss Maketa. and is that for me it's a controversy, because everything around that site is named Mantsopa. There's a site, there's a spring there named Mantsopa. There's a cave church there named Mantsopa. Apparently she was captured and she ran away from Lesotho into the Southern Free State, and she was given a name and baptized to become a Christian. What's your take on that?
Dr. Moephuli?
Can you hear me?
I think the Bishop of the Anglican has left, basically, according to
That,
my answer.
can
Yes.
I give this
So
to?
I think
I'm sure.
I think it is
Prof,
for us to close.
yeah. Prof, we are about to close. Prof Mosala, would you attempt to respond to that? That Anna Mantsopa was baptized by the Anglican missionaries. She was coming from Lesotho and she was called a prophet by the Anglican missionaries, the monks, and the site is now Mantsopa sacred site. Whereas she was not Christian. She was not Christian. When you have a look at it clearly, it's a subject of IKS, Indigenous Knowledge Studies.
Yes.
Yes.
But for me, it's a matter of historical veracity or otherwise. I mean, I really don't know. I think that it's not too long ago, and that history can be confirmed or disconfirmed. But I would be careful myself not to draw in the regional politics of the Free State and Lesotho. There are lots of those politics about Lesotho and the Free State, and maybe until somebody can help us with actual historical facts, with regard at least on the issue of her origins, whether she was in fact from over there. But I'd rather not venture into that. I don't know for a fact. It's the first time I hear about this, but I hear lots of things about that. About Lesotho, and that the Free State is actually Lesotho. But we also argue on the other hand that Botswana is actually part of Mafikeng. And there's lots of those kinds of stories. I don't know why Africans like to divide amongst themselves and fight over the divisions created by the colonialists. It doesn't matter to me whether she came from Lesotho or not. It doesn't matter to me that Mafikeng used to be the capital city of Botswana. It doesn't really matter. It's actually so, but I don't really care about that. So yeah, but the facts will be important. It's always important to get the facts, historical facts, on anything.
Yeah.
We do that with the Bible as well. I mean, like I was telling these people this morning that the position is, there's a very strong position which is very controversial for most Christians. It would be, but I'm convinced about the fact that the Exodus was an internal movement in Palestine. That Moses never led anybody out of Egypt into Palestine. Joshua led the movement of liberation in Palestine, which should be called the Exodus. But that's a matter for the debate for us biblical scholars. I would save you from those kind of stuff. Yeah.
So the canon is controversial.
Always has been. I mean, Moses wrote his own. Moses wrote the record of his own death and where he was buried. If you go and look at the death of Moses and where he was buried, if he is also the author of that book, then he wrote his own obituary and wrote about the history of how he died and where he was buried. So, but that's life. That's history. And faith comes out of those contradictions. So we shouldn't find that thing as, unless we are so colonized by what the West said to us about what the Bible says. If we love it so much, then we can we can continue to get shocked.
Absolutely.
There's nothing shocking.
Yes.
Bible
Thank
is
you
a
very much.
powerful book.
Thank you very much, Professor Mosala.
Dr. Moephuli,
Sir,
can we take this moment now to thank the participants, the presenters, and you can do the closing prayer now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Can you just thank Professor Reddie and Professor Mosala and pronounce grace?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, Professor Mosala and Professor Reddie, thank you for the insightful contributions that you made today, particularly around the question of universal salvation. All can be saved, and thank you very much that you really made an effort to make these insights into ourselves, and that we take away with us this knowledge of understanding faith as a paramount virtue for ourselves, and that the church cannot claim Black Liberation Theology. It's a product of its own being. Thank you very much for that, and may you be blessed as you continue to empower our people to understand that that faith is very critical for one's being to exist. And if you don't have faith, then you may step out of the church. But it's important that we appreciate your contributions, and Dr. Kobe also made a very profound contribution. We want to say thank you, and thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Moephuli, can we give Kai the opportunity to do announcements?
Please do that.
And
yes,
thank you to our moderators. I just want to make announcements. We are meeting again next week, but we will start a bit earlier at 6 o'clock. And the topic for next week is All Can Know They Are Saved, looking at the Methodist Student Society, Holy Club, the perspective of the Aldersgate. And our guests are going to be Reverend Sidiso Sibi, Reverend Fikile Makananda, Reverend Gerard Green, Reverend Mbuya Sizwe Chabalala, and Sinazo Sam. And our moderators are going to be Preacher Yamkela Ngenga and Preacher Bongile Jafta. So we'll be basically looking at the Oxford Holy Club in conjunction with what we have in South Africa, the Methodist Student Society. And I will kindly ask Professor Antony Reddie, who will share the link. If there are any students in Oxford that would like to join, we would appreciate their presence. And thank you to everyone that participated today. And as we normally do, if you've got any questions, please send them to us in advance so that we can share with the speakers as they prepare their presentations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Many thanks,
Thank you.
chairpersons and
Pronounce
organizers.
grace, Dr. Moephuli.
Sir?
Pronounce
Can I
grace.
pronounce it?
Yes.
May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, the fellowship of the Holy Spirit rest and abide with us all, now and forevermore. Amen. Please go in.